Bitcoin, Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin? I know you've heard of somebody who has made so much money with Bitcoin, and I'm sure you're excited to learn about it. My name is Limor, and I'm gonna show you how to crush it with your finances. In today's episode, I'm gonna be explaining Bitcoin. Come on, this will be fabulous. Bitcoin is in fact a cryptocurrency. Let's focus on the second word there, currency. Now, let's talk about currencies more generally because I think that might help kind of put everything in context together. So right now in the world, every country or group of countries has a currency associated with. So if you live in Canada, of course you have the Canadian dollar. If you're in the US, we've got the US dollar. If you're somewhere in Europe, well, you've got the euro. All of these types of currencies are actually called fiat. Basically, that just means that the government has identified those as the currencies for legal tender in that particular country or area. Now, let's blow this out, okay? Go crazy in your imagination. If we look at the world in totality, what would happen if we were to overlay one currency that could be traded or used across all the countries of the world? And there you have Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is brand new, or seemingly brand new in the mainstream anyways. It's been around since 2009. And because it's not associated with a specific country, there isn't a government that governs or dictates or talks about what happens with the Bitcoin or with cryptocurrency in general. And so this is called a decentralized model. And one of its nuances is that, of course, the currency isn't backed by anything. There's no real estate behind it. There's no stock behind it. There's no gold behind it. And this tends to freak people out. But you know what the truth is? All of our currencies aren't backed by anything. We've just been using them for so long that we don't even stop to think about it. You know, it's just kind of commonplace that you go out, you earn this currency, you use it, you shop with it, all that kind of good stuff, and you don't think twice about it. But now with the introduction with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, well, people are feeling a little bit heebie-jeebie about the fact that there's no backing behind it. The interesting thing of it, though, is actually how this came to be and the technology that lives behind it, which makes this all possible. And it's actually called blockchain. You've probably heard of it, but it's just as cryptic of a word as Bitcoin. So let's explain what blockchain is. Blockchain is basically a transparent ledger that is housed on a global network that tracks all of the transactions that are happening within the cryptocurrency space. This new technology is really cool because it is really, really safe and really, really secure. So if you think about it, a particular company or a particular country may have some of their data stored on a particular computer, on a series of computers, on some servers, but when it comes to Bitcoin and the blockchain and the way that's actually tracked, it is on so many computers that it's virtually impossible for it to be hacked because all of them would need to be hacked simultaneously. That's what makes it really, really secure. Now, on top of that, what's also really neat is the fact that for those of us who are transacting, or all wallets or individuals participating in the cryptocurrency world, you're actually anonymous. Now, I know some people freak out at that and sort of think, well, oh, cryptocurrency must be for all these like scams and all these sort of shady things. And yeah, no doubt, I'm sure there's some of that's going on. But the truth is, for most of us, it's just nice to be able to transact in an anonymous way, in a way that we are actually control of what's happening and nobody really knows what we're doing. And so within the blockchain, we are able to be completely anonymous. All of the data is completely transparent, but it's no longer connected to you as an individual. You've got a wallet address or an ID where you are self-identifying. So if you want to make a transaction, you'd of course, you know, if you're transferring money, you'd need to share where you're transferring from because it's completely transparent on the ledger. But you as an individual do not have your name and your identity connected to your wallet address or your wallet ID. Bear with me and let's take a look at an example together. So let's say that we have got three particular individuals. Let's call them Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. And let's say that right now, Alpha has 10 Bitcoin. At the time that I'm filming this video, you should know that a single Bitcoin is worth $9,000. So in this instance, this individual would have $90,000, 90,000 US dollars worth of Bitcoin. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's just keep it with simple numbers. So we've got Alpha. Alpha's got 10 Bitcoin. Now Alpha wants to give Bravo 5 Bitcoin. So maybe in return they're doing some services, maybe they're purchasing something, maybe it's a gift. That's not really the point of this. But we can see because Alpha's wallet is public on the blockchain, it's very easy to see what the wallet address of Alpha is and how much money is there. And so you can see that there's 10 Bitcoin. And so when Alpha wants to give Bravo 5 Bitcoin, of course you can see that there's enough Bitcoin there. Alpha would transfer to Bravo 5 Bitcoin. And so now Alpha is left with 5 Bitcoin. Now this particular transaction is of course tracked on the ledger, on the blockchain, which is housed on many computers. And so that's then public record that Alpha transferred 5 Bitcoin to Bravo. Now Bravo has 5 Bitcoin and that can be viewed as well on the blockchain. Now let's say that Bravo wants to transfer 3 Bitcoin to Charlie. So of course there has to be a verification, and the verification of that process is actually even called mining. I'll get into that in another video. But essentially, there is an element where there is confirmation that, of course, Bravo has the 5 Bitcoin, and of course, that's more than 3, which he wants to give to Charlie. So then 3 of the Bitcoin are transferred from the wallet address of Bravo down to Charlie. And then Charlie now has 3 Bitcoin. Now, if we go back to take a look at Alpha, at this point in time, Alpha still has 5 Bitcoin. Now, if Alpha wants to do a business transaction or a barter, I should say more appropriately, with Charlie, that's going to cost 6 Bitcoin, it's very easy to verify that in fact Alpha doesn't have 6 Bitcoin. And so part of this verification is where all these other miners come into play and take a look to verify the transaction, whether it's there or it's not. And it's very quick to identify that the money isn't there. So of course, Alpha cannot transfer that down to Charlie. Now, I don't want you to get too confused on the actual elements of this particular example, but the things that are really important to note is that it's very safe, the blockchain. It's very secure. It's completely transparent, and you can remain anonymous. And all of this makes the process very different than the way it exists in current day when we're transacting with actual physical currency. And hopefully you can see that. If you wanted to buy your own Bitcoin, and I should actually note that there's currently over 1,500 coins and currencies and tokens, and I'll explain that in a separate video, the difference between those. But if you wanted to purchase your own cryptocurrency at this point in time, like buy into one that's already existing, one of the easiest ways to be able to do that is through an existing exchange. Now, there's lots of exchanges. Some of them are newer, some of them are larger in terms of trade volume. And, you know, we talk about Bitcoin because it's kind of like the main one, but it's also kind of like calling tissue Kleenex in the sense that it's what has become mainstream, but there's tons of different cryptocurrencies out there. And especially with Bitcoin and its value being so high, I mean, when it's thousands of dollars, you're not really going to use it to buy a cup of coffee or those small microtransactions. If you do want to purchase a cryptocurrency, the easiest way to do it is through an exchange. But the challenge is that it's still not a user-friendly, easy, simple process. And that's partially because this was all created by, you know, all those brilliant computer folks who created the process, and it wasn't really intended initially, at least, to be mainstream, and it hasn't become that user-friendly yet. So downloading wallets is still a little bit clunky when you transfer your money into the exchange, whether you wire it or email transfer it. It takes a couple days before you get your Bitcoin, and then if you wanted to use for a different currency, you'd have to exchange it on one of the many exchanges that are out there. And I should note that actually, unlike stocks, typically a cryptocurrency will be traded on multiple exchanges, usually in and around the same value. But you will have to go through all of those various steps if you want to buy and you want to get into it. Now, I should also explain that there's two main reasons that people really get into cryptocurrency. One is because they want to make money. Of course, we all want to make money. I want to make money. I know you want to make money. But when you want to make money, there's kind of a couple things that are happening within that umbrella of making money. So the first one is something like day trading, where there's all these different currencies and coins out there, and the goal is to buy and have the value go up and then sell. And of course, so many of us end up doing that backwards. We buy up here and we sell down here. But anyways, with a very, very volatile currencies, there's an opportunity that if you buy in the right place and you sell in the right place, you will make a lot of money. And that's probably what a lot of the media and hype and trends has really all been about. And within that same umbrella, there's also those individuals who are looking to buy a currency in the crypto world, have it go up over time and then sell it and be able to use that money for something significant in your life later. Maybe it's retirement or buying a home or something like that. So section number one is really about making money. And the second reason why people really get into cryptocurrency, which is a little bit more about its intended origin, if I understand correctly, is that people want to be able to use it. People want to be able to barter it for stuff, trade it for stuff, be able to transfer money in a much easier way. And there's actually a ton of benefits in the cryptocurrency world. And that's a lot of the time, I think, what people are actually initially forgetting with all the hype of, oh my gosh, let's make money. Oh, there's this coin. Oh, I'm making all this money. That's really initially intended to be able to use it. So let me give you another example. Me and my grandma, my lovely grandma who lives in Cape Town, South Africa, and I live in Toronto, Canada. Now, let's say that it is her birthday coming up, and I want to be able to send her to the spa for the day. So I may reach out to my aunt in Cape Town and say, hey, I'd love for you to take Gran to the spa for me on her birthday. And so historically, if I wanted to do something like that, I would obviously need to be super proactive and tell my aunt some time in advance. I would likely go into my bank, tell them how much I want to transfer. They would take a fee, and realistically, it would take a week, maybe a little bit longer for the money to be able to be transferred. And of course, they've taken a cut in the process. And no joke, this is definitely an expensive thing to do, and it has been quite expensive in the past. Trust me, I've sent money across the world. And so if we sort of fast forward to what we're looking at here with cryptocurrency, if I have a wallet and my aunt has a wallet, well, what I can do is send the cryptocurrency directly to her. It happens very, very quickly, and there's no transaction fees in the process, and nobody else has known from a banking perspective what I have or haven't done. Now, of course, I'm not doing anything sneaky. I'm just trying to take my grandmother to the spa for her birthday, but it's nice to know that I have this complete control over my money and what it's doing, and that it can get there really, really quickly. In fact, the other day I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and he was transferring money to Peru to a friend of his there, and we timed it, and it took 38 seconds for the money to get there. Now that is probably on a slow day, but pretty cool that that really changes things. So transferring money is so much quicker. There's no fees in the middle. Now, of course, there are elements of downside in the sense that, you can't get the money transferred back if you need to. If, you mess up your wallet and it's on your computer and you haven't backed anything up, and you smash your computer and it's completely gone to bits, you can't get it back. So there's some safety precautions to be taken when you're, in cryptocurrency, but that is so cool. I could now send money across the world via wallets. I know you can do it via text messages. And so, for folks who maybe don't have access to the kind of banking that we do here in North America, they now have access to banking in a whole nother crazy way that's far more cost effective. And so, one way is, of course, transferring money across the world, but there's lots of other uses, like, taking the currency that you have and bartering it, and I'm using the word barter because that's, I guess, what it's really called, for all kinds of services. So a currency that I'm really involved in, and please don't take this as investing advice, is called Nico, which is Nikola Tesla's coin. And it's not one of those, oh, let's create a Trump coin. I've actually seen all of the branding and all of the official letterhead to be able to use the Nikola Tesla names for the coin called Nico. Now, I have in my area here a plumber who accepts Nico, a co-working space, there's charities, so I can actually start to use the currency in a whole nother way. And what's neat about some of these other currencies that aren't necessarily Bitcoin is that, when Bitcoin is $9,000, it's really hard to really transact in all these micro ways. Whereas when I'm using other currencies, or if you're using other currencies that are far smaller, the transaction fees are really low and you're not using a piece of a really big pie, if you will, which is a Bitcoin, to be able to be doing that kind of transaction. I know there's a ton of speculation on cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and all that other kind of fun stuff, but I think it's really here to stay. Is it going to look like what it looks like now? I have no idea. I do not have a crystal ball. All I know is that it's this really new concept. It's this really new world that so many of us are participating in. I will give you my giant warning that says there is a ton of volatility. It goes up, it goes down. It's not backed by anything, as I mentioned already earlier. And so never consider putting money into cryptocurrencies unless it's money that you are prepared to lose, because there is a ton of speculation and in many senses still an element of gambling, and you've worked really hard for your money and I don't want you to lose it. I want you to live your financially fabulous life. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that the world of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is a little bit easier for you to understand. And if you've got questions and you've got comments, leave them below and I will definitely be creating more videos on cryptocurrency. I absolutely love it. I think it's so fascinating and there's so many cool nuances that I definitely want to continue making all kinds of videos to share with you guys. So again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click on the bell so you're notified when my next videos come on out. And as always, if you're looking for more tips and tricks and inspiration to make your life even more financially fabulous, come on over to limor.money. I've got lots of great resources for you to access and download. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Till then, stay fabulous. Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin?